Has it been that long? Has it really, really been that long? Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back. Welcome back to London. I'm still in London. I've been here 3 weeks. Not so many videos, I know, not so many videos. It's very hard when I don't have the car here, and also been caught up with other things, life, so to be it. Thought I'd just have a bit of a chat today anyway, so let's start. Seems like a week in the Porsche world is a long time, especially on YouTube. I noticed I've been catching up on watching videos that I missed out on watching. I've been watching Nick Murray, I've been watching Auto Amateur, of course. I've been watching a few other channels. Excuse my throat. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, here I am looking, as I always do, at 911s. Here I am looking at new 911s, old 911s. But you know what? I think I'd be very hesitant to buy a new 911. I don't know whether it's a 0.1 or a 0.2 makes any difference. It seems that, you know, Porsche, in a way, look after their customers, but in a way there are problems that happen with our cars. The 997, the IMS, fixed in the 0.2. Poor Nick Murray over on Nick Murray's channel. I won't even put a link, everyone knows where it is, but Nick Murray, his first 911, let's just call it a lemon. Porsche don't make lemons, but let's just call it a lemon. And then his second one, he's having multiple problems with it, still not resolved. The last I watched, and I don't know if it's changed since then, that they were going to take it back. How unlucky could you be? Would you want to buy another 911? I guess the only car that I bought that had an issue, I remember years ago I bought a Peugeot when they first came out, 206 or whatever it was. And it had issues, and I kept it for about, I think I kept it for about 3 or 4 months, and then it got to the point where the dealer just wasn't helping me, so then I just sold it and bought an Audi. The Audi I had no problems with, and then I bought another Audi, and then, you know, rest is history. But yeah, so a lot changes in the Porsche world. You know, I don't do a lot of how-to videos. I'm not good at getting in and stuck into the car. But even James, look at what James done. In the small amount of time I've been away, James at Auto Amateur, check it out here. He's redone his garage. He's got his wheels back. He's changed his wheels. His steering wheel's on. What else? Like, there's so many things. So many things have been done, and I've done nothing. And I feel, I don't know, I feel like I need to do something, but I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. And I guess that should be the title of this video. I just actually don't know what to do. I've got to the point where, you know, I love making these videos, but when I'm in London, and especially now when work is starting to be heavy again, it becomes difficult. It becomes very difficult. And I know you guys want Porsche content, Porsche content, and I try to give you the best content I can, but sometimes it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard. So this video is slowly taking no direction very fast, but let's get back on track. My car. Okay, so at the moment, as you know, I'm in London. As I said, car is not here, it's in Australia. But I'm still looking at things to do. I got distracted last night and I was looking at, I guess it gets to a point where there's not really, for me, there's really not a lot more that that I need to do for my 911. It's pretty much perfect how it is. I think the only things that need to be done from this point are more maintenance type things. I don't think there's many more mods. There may be a couple more leather pieces for the interior. There may be, what else? I'm still going to do I am definitely going to do the Bluetooth for the PCM. I keep switching between Mowbridge and Denison. For some reason, I think the lights really. Yeah, so I still keep thinking about doing the Bluetooth module. I think it's needed for the car. I still want to have it. I'm not so interested in the streaming music thing, like I said. I'm switching. I keep going backwards and forwards between Denison and Mowbridge. I've just found a Denison one here on the UK online. I think it's £340 or £340 directly from Denison. I think before I leave the UK, I'm just going to buy that. I'm just going to buy it and then I'm going to get it installed in Sydney. I was always concerned about the Bluetooth integration into the PCM 2.1 in my 997. I was always concerned about the CD changer not working, because I keep reading in Mowbridge that the CD changer doesn't work, or you have to loop out the changer. If you don't have a CD changer, you have to get the CD the system coded by the dealer. I find it all very confusing, and I should just ask a professional and it'd be a lot easier to know the information, but as usual I search online and try and come across it. The Mowbridge have two, not the Mowbridge, the Denison have two, the Denison 500 BT or whatever it's called. They have two, which is, it says one, you can get the model that takes into account that you've got a CD changer, because my CD changer is in the front, at the front, and the single CD changer and obviously the PCM 2.1. So anyway, I think I'm going to get the Denison. I think I'm going to buy it before I leave London, whenever that may be, and then I'm going to take it back to Australia, get it fitted in Australia by someone there. £370, not so much, get it fitted, won't cost that much. So, the only really things left to do on my car, and like I said, I'm not really going to do any more mods. There's a point, there's that tipping point, you know, you get to that tipping point where you don't really want to do any more. I like my car because I still think in my head it looks OEM. It has a certain aesthetic about it that makes it still look like an original Porsche. I know the wheels they're stock wheels. They're not painted as they came from the factory, but they're painted in a stock Porsche color. The stripe is a Porsche stripe. Porsche offered that stripe. People hate it, people love it. I like the stripe, I'm gonna leave it on. You know, but then it gets to the other point of other mods, and for me, that's about it. The wheels were the major thing for me, as you know, and the wheels were changed, you know, a year and a half ago. So the Bluetooth. The only other thing is I would consider upgrading, and I mentioned this to someone the other day, I mentioned it to James from Auto Amateur actually about it. I would consider changing my suspension or upgrading my suspension. Now my car, when it came, some of you may know, most of you know, 20-inch Tech Art wheels, huge wheels. I think the springs are Tech Art springs as well. So my car was lowered, it's got the stock shocks, and it was lowered with lowering springs. I guess that's how you do it. I'm not so technical with all this stuff. My car is not super low, but coming out of my garage, going into driveways, I did scrape it at Christmas quite badly when I was trying to do a 3-point turn, just completely forgetting how low it is in the angle that you're approaching a driveway, and I did scrape the car. Nothing bad, nothing severe. You know, there is wrap on the front of my car, but it did take a little bit of damage underneath. Anyway, these things happen. But I don't want my car to be any lower. So I've been thinking, if I need to upgrade my suspension, or if I have some spare cash where I can upgrade my suspension, then I would upgrade it to the Bilstein. The Bilstein B12, is it Pro Kit? It's written about a lot on Renlist. Do a search for it. A lot of guys talk about it. Apparently it's really good. It's not super low. Springs and shocks. Apparently very, very good. Bilstein, yeah? My friend tells me that he's had Bilsteins on his last 911s. He put them on there, so that's good enough for me. I think that's what I would do. It's quite expensive. I don't know how much it costs to get them fitted. I would not fit them myself, as you know. I would get Autohouse Hamilton to fit them, but I think the shocks and the springs, the B12 kit is quite expensive. 3,000? 4,000? I don't know. I remember looking at it and thinking it was a lot more than I wanted to spend at this time. So that is the one other thing that I would do. The one other thing that I do. Now, of course, I still have my short shifter. I had that moment of stupidity in Sydney where I didn't want my car taken apart. I didn't want the console ripped out and pieces go missing or another piece gets scratched. So I decided in haste to stop, not get the short shifter installed, and to leave it. That has to be done, and I guess I will do that at the same time, the next time I go back to Sydney, when I do when I get the Bluetooth module installed. At this point in time, the Denison, because that's what I've decided upon. Now, having listened to other people on YouTube and reading a lot of things on Renlist, the other thing I was thinking about is engine mounts. Now, these are things that I don't really think about, and I guess to me they're a service item. They're not like an item that I want to upgrade. I know a lot of people change the type of mount. They don't get OEM. I know a lot of people use the 964 RS engine mounts on the 997. It has no liquid in the mount. It gives a firmer ride to the car. I think it gives more noise inside the cabin from forums I was reading last night. I don't want to do that. I mean, but I'm guessing if my engine mounts were worn or if they needed changing, that Autohouse, when they did the service, would tell me that. It seems when they're worn, there is quite a noticeable difference when you get worn ones to new ones. It sags, the rubber sags down quite a lot. That's how you can tell. I don't know whether you can get underneath the car and you can check that. I haven't tried, but maybe you guys can tell me. Can you actually check it from the underside, or you actually have to take the mount out? Once again, that's an easy do-it-yourself job. Some people say it takes half an hour, a couple of bolts, 3 bolts, and that's all you need to do. Support the engine from underneath, hold the engine up, take the mounts out, put the new ones in. Very simple, very, very simple. I'm not going to do it. I would get Auto House Hamilton to do it. So that's a possibility. I might actually ask them to look at the mounts, and if the mounts look like they're sagged or they're worn, and you know, people say, oh, how could your mounts be worn if you only have 50,000 kilometers or 48,000 kilometers? Well, as a lot of other people have said on Renlist and other forums that I've been looking at, it's not about the kilometers, it's also about the time. You know, so if your engine mounts haven't been changed since the car was new, from, say, my car's 2006, they're 13 years old. Now, a 13-year-old part like that, Porsche say they don't need to be replaced, I think, unless they leak. But you can see when people pull the old ones out of the car, they're noticeably different. And I guess I don't know, the difference apparently is that you'll notice it in the shifting of your gears, you notice it in the vibration, you notice it in the idling, you notice when you go hit the gas and come off the gas on the freeway. All those things. I didn't know about that. I found about this in the last couple of days. So that's the other thing that I'm thinking about, which I don't see as a mod. It's more a maintenance item, and it wouldn't be a mod anyway because I wouldn't change it. I would get OEM parts and I would just get what's in there now, the 997. I wouldn't do the 964 RS ones that are no liquid and tighter. I would just leave it as is. I know a lot of people disagree, but for me, I just rather keep it the parts stock like that. The only other thing that will come up, and like I've said I think previously in a really old video, is that my brakes will eventually need doing. When I purchased my car, it had a service at Porsche Centre South Sydney, or Sydney South. They at the time told the previous owner of the car, before he took it to the dealer on consignment where I bought it from, that the brakes needed changing there and then. 2 years later, the brakes are still okay. Granite Auto House told me that when the brake warning light comes on, your brake pad warning light comes on, then we'll change your brake pads. And like I've said in previous videos, they also said that the battery needed to be changed because it was the wrong battery. I haven't changed it. I want to change it because it's got the wrong AMP or whatever it is. I want to change it, but it's still working, and it's on a trickle charger, and my car is not used most of the year, so to put a new battery in it that's just going on a trickle charger and it still starts the car up, well then when I'm back home more often, when I use the car, when I'm in a position to be at home more often, then I will get a new battery. Unless the battery fails, then I'll buy a battery. But you know, these are all costs that add up and things that you think you need, but you don't necessarily need them right there and then. And that's probably about it. You know, that's about it. And that's probably why I don't want to make videos saying what mods I'm going to do next, or you know, what I'm going to add next, because I'm really not going to add that much more. I guess the next part of this journey is the journey of thinking about whether to keep this car for the long term, as in keep it as an investment and, you know, buy another Porsche, store this one away, use both of them. You know, garaging and all those costs and everything come into it, so I'm not sure. If we happen to relocate into the Middle East, then there's a possibility that I would need a car there. What sort of car? There's tracks to drive on over there. There might be a possibility of having a car there. Porsches are cheaper there, GT3s are cheaper there, GT3 RSs are cheaper there. But they all cost money. They're still expensive, but they're, you know, compared to Australia, they're very cheap. Maybe it's maybe it's a GT4, maybe it's a GT4. Maybe it's something like that where you can get to use the somewhat beautiful roads in the Middle East, which they do have in the Gulf states, especially in Oman, even around Bahrain. They have good roads, and they have tracks there, the Bahrain circuit, the Bahrain International Circuit, Abu Dhabi as well. But I mean, that's something else that's a little bit further down the track, hopefully this year, but nothing's resolved, so that's another thing on my mind. The other thing is I still want to get a GT3, and like I said, whether it be in the Middle East or whether it be in Australia. If I get one in Australia, do I get a 997? If I keep my 997, do I get another 997 GT3 and have a 997 Carrera and a 997, say, 0.2 GT3 or 0.1 GT3? Or do I keep the 997 Carrera and do I look at getting a 991.1 GT3? F or G engines, so you know the first engines in the GT3, the E engines were all replaced worldwide because of the fire, because of the the finger, whatever it was, finger valve or whatever you call it. So you want the F or G. There's a G one for sale now, a G engine, 2015, 2016 model G engine, and I think it's about 289,000 Australian dollars in black. It's a great GT3, and like I said, if I was based predominantly in Australia, I'd probably seriously look at it. But having two cars and not being in Australia, you know, being in Australia 90 days a year is not a very sensible thing to do. So where I'm at the moment is I'm thinking about what's the next thing. What's the next thing for my Porsche journey, and what's the next step that I will take. I mean, I still love talking about it, and I still love going through the process. I don't want to appear repetitive though. I don't want to keep making these videos and appear repetitive to you guys and just rehashing the same thing. I don't find that, I've been watching other YouTube channels that have been doing that, and I've stopped watching them. So I don't want to become like that. But anyway, that's where I'm sitting at the moment. These are my thoughts, and I guess these thoughts have been brought on by other channels, you know, doing mods on their cars, and you know, I think in James's video last night that I watched, he said on Auto Amateur, he said the same thing. You know, where's the point where you want to stop doing mods? You know, you don't want to go too far, and I think that's a really important point. Porsche is a great car. A Porsche 911 is a classic sports car. You can do nothing to it, and it looks just fine. You can. Luckily, the parts market for Porsche is so huge. You can add things, you can update things, you can do so many things to it. But that's come a point where, you know, the benefit, the gain you get from it is starting to decrease. So then, what do you normally do? You look for another car. You look for a GT3, or you look for a Mercedes-Benz AMG GT or something like that. You know, you go somewhere else. And this is what we do. So I guess that's where my head is at the moment. I'm thinking about what to do next. I guess the thing for, if we're based somewhere else for a little while, I'm thinking about that, so I'm probably holding off on doing too many things. That's what I have planned for the 997. There are just a couple of things. I still think they're important things to do, and I will do them. So the Bluetooth, short shifter when I get back, buy the Bluetooth here, do those when I get back. Ask about the engine mounts, just for the performance feel of the car. If it needs to be changing, I'll get them to do that at the same time the short shifter. And then Bilston B12 Pro Kit, Pro Kit, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. That's what I've been looking at. If you guys have that on your 997, let me know in the comments. I'll be interested to know if you think it's really good. I think it will make my car sit a little bit higher than the springs that are on it now, which is probably good. And I said the other day, I was talking about it, and I only need I think if it was about 5mm higher, I think that'd be perfect. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.